You know that people have been pushed to the corner, whereby they are really, really worried about their own security. And of course, for people to now come back and say, hey, let us get a vigilante group, and these vigilantes are actually working. They don't, they stay up at night. They go into the bushes and they come across some of these people. This is not the first time vigilantes have been arresting, people marauding in the forest and stuff like that. And of course, you find out that a lot of killings, especially around Uromi area, a lot of killings are taking place. And that's why I think the governor himself should go back and look at it, talk to the security agencies and find out, what has happened about those killings that happened in Uromi before. Because they've been doing these killings and people are just crying. And I'm surprised that this time everybody is taking it so seriously. This is what should have happened all the time when people are being killed. So I think we regulate the process, the procedures or the processes of these people. Let them not descend to jungle justice, because some people are so angry losing their family members, and they feel that, look, this is the right time there's no need to go and call police or anything like that. Let's just finish it up. But that's not how it should be.
Right. Now, response mechanisms in the country have also always been a matter of concern. The response of the police in matters like this, for details provided, there was enough time for the police to storm the scene and control or prevent further harm, but nothing of such happened.
Well, that is, the problem with the police. Because for a place like Uromi, there's a DPO. That's a DPO. How can he say that something like, and that's why I'm saying that there's a disconnect between the vigilante groups and the police. Because if there's a connection or a reporting line, when they find these police, arrest them, and they've even discovered arms and ammunition with them, the next person to call is the DPO. And the DPO will quickly send his men down there and then, of course, remove all these people for better interrogation on what they are doing, where they are going, why they are carrying those kind of arms. But there is nothing like that. And apparently I can tell you that maybe the people don't even trust that distrust between the community people and the police must have caused a situation whereby they will say, don't even think about him. Let's do what we have to do. And they went.
News: explosion rocks venue of Gateway Games 2024 in Ogun State. CBN takes cautious move, retains monetary policy rate at 27.50%. And as Labour Party crisis lingers, Abure faction threatens to expel represent House of Reps member Afam Ogene initiates his recall. Many thanks for joining us on News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I'm Simi Saladikun. There was tension at the Alake Sports Complex, one of the venues of the ongoing National Sports Festival in Abeokuta, Ogun State, the Ogun State capital, following an explosion. Eyewitnesses say a gas truck supplying the complex's generating set suddenly caught fire, triggering panic among athletes and spectators nearby. The development triggered panic, of course, as we earlier said, for the athletes and spectators who scampered to safety to avoid being caught up in the fire. No casualties have been confirmed. Let's hear more details of the incident from our sports correspondent, Mudashiru Shitu, who is in Ogun State. Mudashiru, What can you tell us about this gas explosion? What exactly caused this gas explosion, and were there any serious damages?
Thank you very much, Simi. There's not a serious damages. Information getting to us is the fact that a petrol tanker from who came to disburse fell at the Alake Sports Center, was actually in the center where the sport activity was going on. At the process of fueling the generator set that powers the complex, there was a little bit of explosion, which caused about a fear around those in that vicinity. So as we speak right now, there's nothing to show any casualty or any issues, and the authorities have actually put this incident in place and in check. But it was something that caused fear amongst athletes, spectators, and a lot of people at the Alake Sports Center.
Now, we hear that emergency responders are on ground to contain the situation. How is that going?
Yes, they're trying to every other thing in control from what we can, information we can get. And in the media center, it was that the state government and the MOC are putting everything under control as we speak. And information coming from the media center is that there's no need to panic, that it's just accidental.
Thank you very much, Mudashiru Shitu, for the update.
Thank you very much, Simi.
That was our correspondent in Ogun State giving us details on the explosion that rocked one of the venues of the ongoing Gateway Games in Ogun State. Moving on, operatives of the Department of State Services DSS have arrested an alleged kidnap kingpin, Sonny Galadi, at the Sultan Abubakar International Airport in Sokoto as he attempted to board a flight to Saudi Arabia for the 2025 Hajj pilgrimage. Galadi was apprehended at the Hajj terminal during a routine screening exercise ahead of his departure. Also confirming the arrest, a top official of the Sokoto State Pilgrims Welfare Agency, Farouk Umar, clarified that the suspect was not part of the Sokoto pilgrims. Umar explained that the DSS screening is part of a broader agreement with state pilgrim agencies to ensure a secure environment for the Hajj operations. The arrest of Galadima comes less than 24 hours after another kidnap kingpin who had been declared wanted for alleged involvement in high-profile kidnappings across Kogi State and Abuja was apprehended at the Hajj camp in Abuja. For the second consecutive time this year, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has retained the monetary policy rate, which benchmarks interest rates in the country at 27.50%. This decision is part of outcomes of the Apex Bank's 300th Monetary Policy Committee meeting held on Tuesday, where the CBN Governor Olayemi Cardoso revealed that the committee retained the cash reserve ratio at 50% and liquidity ratio at 30%. Correspondent Tamilore Akinkwole has more details on the outcome of the CBN's MPC meeting.
The CBN governor says the decision to maintain MPR at 27.50% was unanimous and reflects a conservative policy stance aimed at consolidating the effects of earlier tightening measures. He also said the committee noted the relative improvement in some key macroeconomic indicators, which are expected to support the overall moderation in prices in the near to medium term, such as the narrowing gap between Nigeria's forex market and BDC windows, as well as easing price of PMS.
Retain the MPR at 27.50%. 2. Retain the asymmetric corridor around the MPR at plus 500 to minus 100 basis points. 3. Retain the cash reserve ratio of deposit money banks at 50% and merchant banks at 16%.
Referencing the latest inflation figures released by the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS), which eased to 23.71% in April 2025, down from 24.23% recorded in March, Cardoso commended the federal government's efforts in boosting food supply and addressing insecurity in farming communities, noting that these steps contributed to moderation in food inflation. However, the committee also acknowledged ongoing inflationary pressures, including high electricity tariffs, persistent foreign exchange demand, and lingering structural issues in the economy.
This improvement was driven by both the oil and non-oil sectors, with the services sector being the major contributor. Gross external reserves increased by 2.85% to $38.90 billion as at 16th of May 2025, from $37.82 billion at end of March 2025.
On the broader economic outlook, the CBN governor said the naira has become more competitive, attracting increased interest from foreign investors and boosting confidence in the economy. While acknowledging the challenges faced by the current leadership over the past 18 months, Cardoso assured Nigerians that ongoing reforms are geared towards correcting past policy missteps and restoring public trust in the central bank.
There are a lot of areas that we literally need to reset completely and start all over again. And we are doing so. But those things do take time. They do take time. But what I want to assure you is that we will be consistent as we have been over the past 18 months. And we believe that once we continue in that direction, we will be successful in building back the trust that has been so badly eroded over a period of time.
With the Monetary Policy Committee opting for stability over change, all eyes will now be on how inflation and currency markets respond in the coming months. Tamilore Akinkwole, TV360, Lagos.
Principal partner at Wood Regents Court Consulting, Segun Shokwiton, joins us on the news to lend his thoughts on the CBN's decision. Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Shokwiton. Now, the governor of the Apex Bank says the decision to retain the MPR is based on effect of earlier tightening measures. Now, in your opinion, have these tightening measures been effective in addressing inflation and, the economic downturn generally?
Okay, great. So, in terms of the effectiveness of the policies in addressing inflation, I think honestly it's hard to say, because the underlying factors, the pressures that drive inflation in Nigeria, I'm not sure they've changed much. Particularly, if you look at the cost push inflation versus demand pull. On the demand pull side, you've still got money supply running, out of control. We're still talking of money supply trending around 115 trillion naira, as against 56 trillion just 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, actually. So it's still way too high. The other issues, the structural issues, security concerns that are driving food prices up, they're still there. So it's a mixed bag. However, there has been some stability with regards to two key drivers, exchange rates and the price of PMS. On those two fronts, we have had some stability and, in fact, some gains, especially for PMS. So it looks as if those two key issues have helped moderate inflation to a certain degree. Monetary policy-wise, I think that we're still, just trying to see what can be achieved with regards to managing the money supply issue. But I'm not sure how effective it's been.
Now, do you foresee a reduction of this MPR? And then what's your reaction to the CBN governor's statement that the Naira has now become more competitive?
Well, and how do you determine competitiveness? So if you look at purchasing power parity wise, the value of the Naira from a PP standpoint, you have to wonder whether we are competitive, because I think that from a PPP point of view, the Naira can buy far more than what the official rate is saying. So if we really want to talk about competitiveness, we have to talk about the value that you can create with every Naira versus the value that you can create maybe with every dollar or with every unit of other currencies of countries around the world. So, but I think that in terms of managing stability, in terms of managing transparency of the markets, in terms of managing the price determination process, absolutely, we've gotten to a point now where investment flows can come into the country with some level of assurance that there will be stability. So if you look at competitiveness from that perspective, the perspective that, if I want to compare the Nigerian economy, the Nigerian economic environment, the market dynamics in Nigeria, I want to compare that to maybe Ghana, I want to compare that to South Africa, maybe Egypt, then yes, you would say that things are much better now than where we were 2 years ago. So we can attract portfolio investors better now just because of the measures that the central bank has put in place in terms of saving. And from that perspective, I agree with this.
Economic principal partner at Woodridge Squad Consulting, thank you very much for your contribution as always. Following the crisis that disrupted the conduct of the recent Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination, the House of Representatives Committee on Basic Education Examination Bodies has called for an independent investigation into possible human errors. Speaking at a World Press Conference in Abuja on Tuesday, Chairman of the committee, Honorable Ofoji Oboku, said the committee is working closely with the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, on critical reforms aimed at restoring the credibility of the examination process. According to him, one of the key measures under consideration is the deployment of independent monitors across all 6 geopolitical zones to ensure transparency and accountability in future UTME exercises. The lawmaker commended JAMB Registrar Professor Ishak Oloyede for his transparency and public apology, but maintained that the errors were entirely avoidable and pointed to institutional failure.
We sincerely apologize on behalf of the examination body JAMB to all Nigerians. The committee recognizes the courage and sincerity of JAMB Registrar Professor Ishak Oloyede for accepting the fault on behalf of his team and apologizing to the parents, candidates, and the nation in general. However, this human error were avoidable because it was out of negligence by JAMB. The committee also appreciates the eagerness, the determination of Nigerian students in pursuing their education to improve the future of our country. JAMB has consistently made effort throughout the examination process, from registration to the release of results. Unfortunately, error which can arise unexpectedly occur this time. I would like to state unequivocally that the members of the National Assembly share this concern and extend their apologies to Nigerian public. We also call for an independent and thorough investigation into this matter. The committee has been making suggestions for reform to set a high standard in expertise in collaboration with JAMB across the 6 geopolitical zones. To monitor this very important examination to avoid similar occurrence in the future. The movement towards accountability is not in the future, it is now. The government and the country, the educational system, which is a cornerstone of our future, cannot withstand another scandal.
As the leadership crisis in the Labour Party lingers, the Julius Abure faction has threatened to expel its member in the House of Representatives, Afam Ogene, and initiate a recall process against him. In a statement issued on Tuesday, the party's National Publicity Secretary, Obiora Ifo, accused Ogene of poor performance as a lawmaker elected on the platform of the Labour Party. He also claimed that Ogene had attempted to cyber-bully the Attorney General, the police, and the leadership of the party in what he said was clearly a political matter. Ifo also called on the police high command to immediately invite and interrogate the lawmaker to disclose the source of classified document he purportedly obtained from the office of the Attorney General of the Federation. We'll go on a short break, but still to come. Hungarian lawmakers approved bill to quit International Criminal Court. Stay with us for details. Welcome back. Let's take you through our main stories. Tension heightened at the Alake Sports Complex, one of the venues of the ongoing National Sports Festival in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, following an explosion. Eyewitnesses say a gas truck supplying the complex's generating set suddenly caught fire, triggering panic among athletes and spectators nearby. We also informed you that for the second consecutive time this year, the Central Bank of Nigeria has retained the monetary policy rate, which benchmarks interest rates in the country at 27.50%. This decision is part of outcomes of the Apex Bank's 300th Monetary Policy Committee meeting held on Tuesday, where the CBN Governor Olayemi Cardoso revealed that the committee retained the cash reserve ratio at 50% and liquidity ratio at 30%. In case you missed any of our news bulletins, or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV and AVO TV, or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria, or download our mobile app on Google Play Store, Huawei App Gallery, and Apple Store. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. Let's join Tamilore Akinkuolie for the latest in the world of business. Over to you, Tamilore.
Thank you, Simi. Hello and welcome to Business News. Now, the federal government and Lagos state government have called for investment in production of local goods as well as consumption of made-in-Nigerian products to boost small and medium enterprises in the country. Speaking at the 16th meeting of the National Council on Industry, Trade and Investment, organized by the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, the Lagos State Commissioner for Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment highlights the urgent need to diversify the country's economy from over-reliance on oil. Now, TV360's correspondent Victoria Konde completes the story in this next report.
Recent global shifts in energy policies, coupled with declining oil demand and volatile crude prices, have underscored the urgent need for Nigeria to reduce its reliance on oil revenues. At the state level, the Lagos state government says it is already making efforts at creating an enabling environment that will attract investment, support industrial growth, and empower businesses to thrive. While advocating more investment in producing local goods and consuming them rather than relying on importation of foreign goods, the Lagos State Commissioner for Commerce, Cooperatives, Trade and Investment, Folashade Ambrose, urges both federal and state governments to explore new markets, unlock the potential of the country's youthful population, and embrace the digital economy as a catalyst for industrial and trade expansion.
Our strategy is rooted in two far-reaching frameworks. One, the proposed Lagos State Industrial Policy, LSIP, 2025 to 2030, which redefines industrialization as a deliberate, inclusive, and technological-driven enterprise focused on local value addition, manufacturing excellence, and green industrial growth.
In his address, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, says Nigeria must swiftly implement necessary measures to diversify its economy.
Build up labor-intensive sectors, all right? And of course, produce locally for domestic consumer market. I made a reference earlier on that economic activities are in three planks: production, consumption, then exchange or trade in between. Now, my recommendation with respect to production is that we should look at what India did. India began to promote a concept. They called it Make in India. Not made, Make in India. Which speaks to the fact that we make our geography conducive to manufacturers to produce within India. Now, the same thing can be done by every subnational.
Other speakers urged the governments to adopt policies that will make Nigeria's manufacturing sector conducive for both local and international manufacturers.
Studies have indicated that flexible work-hour arrangements within the clusters, and that's what our study shows, have led to improved employee performance and retention, highlighting the importance of adaptive human resource practices in manufacturing setting. However, like I said, challenges such as infrastructure deficit and overregulation by government agencies, 3 tiers of government agencies, persistently result in suboptimal performance. I move to another part of the country, Aba manufacturing cluster. The Aba policy measures and reducing bureaucratic hurdles are essential to create a more attractive environment for businesses within these clusters. Provision of tax incentives can encourage investments and growth, simplifying trade procedures and reducing import duties on raw materials will lower production costs and improve competitiveness.
All the speakers say Nigeria has the potential to become number 1 in Africa in the industrial sector. They also call on the government at all levels to aggressively explore the non-oil sector, which they argue holds strong potential for revenue generation, job creation, and economic transformation. Victoria Akonde, TV360 News, Lagos.
We're going to a short break here and be back with stock market reports. Nigeria's equities market saw a modest rebound on Tuesday, gaining 0.03% or approximately 20 billion naira in market value, as previously cautious investors returned to buying mode following the outcome of the central bank's 300th Monetary Policy Committee meeting held from May 19 to 20th. Now, the closing of trade on the Nigerian Exchange Limited all-share index edged higher alongside market capitalization, which settled at 68.965 trillion naira. The slight uptick in performance was driven by investors' interest in blue-chip stocks, most notably Nestle Nigeria PLC, whose share price surged from 1,331 naira to 1,464 naira 10 kobo, an impressive gain of 133 naira 10 kobo. Now, Triple G and Co. also followed closely, posting gains, rising from 2 naira to 2 naira 20 kobo per share. Market activities also gained robust, with 497 million shares traded in 18,795 deals, amounting to a total value of over 13 billion naira. Now, switching to the global scene, it was a mixed day in the international market as the UK FTSE and Japan's Nikkei closed in positive territory, while the US Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped into the reds, reflecting cautious investors' sentiment on Wall Street. Meanwhile, in the foreign exchange market, the naira held steady on the parallel market, trading at 1,615 naira to the US dollar, 2,000 1,050 naira to the Great British Pound and 1,710 naira to the euros, unchanged from the previous day's rate. And that's it on both business and stock market updates. Back to you, Simi, for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Tamilare. In other countries, Hungary's parliament has approved a bill that will start the country's year-long withdrawal process from the International Criminal Court, which Prime Minister Viktor Orban's government says has become a political court rather than an impartial court. Orban's government announced the move on April 3, shortly after Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu arrived in Hungary for a state visit in a rare trip abroad in defiance of an ICC arrest warrant. Hungary has rejected the idea of arresting Netanyahu for war crimes in Gaza and has called the warrant brazen. The bill to withdraw from the ICC passed on Tuesday with 134 members voting in favor against 37 against. The ICC's presidency of the Assembly of State Parties has expressed concern at the move. On sports, the technical committee of the Russian-Saudi League has selected 5 nominees for the Player of the Season award, as announced by the league's official account on social media platform X. The shortlist includes French striker Karim Benzema from Al Ittihad, Al Hilal's winger Salem Al Dosari, Portuguese star Cristiano Ronaldo, the captain of Al Nassr, Brazilian defender Roger Ibanez from Al Ahly, and Argentine midfielder Christian Guanca of Al Shabab. The selection was based on the league's eligibility criteria, which requires nominees to have participated in at least 40% of their team's total league matches, regardless of position or nationality. And that's it on News Now. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next time.
Corruption not in my country.
Hello? Yeah, I found your wallet in front of a supermarket. Meet me at Apple Junction. Yes, I'll be waiting for you.
Now we find out. 2 of us.
Thank you very much, officer. You know, it's surprising that men like you still exist in the police force.
Yes, oh, yes.
This is just a token of my appreciation.
Oh, no, you don't need to do this. We're only doing our job.
Thank you very much. God bless you.
You're welcome.
Now I know police is really my friend.
Yes.
Friend. Hey. Which came up with this one? I don't understand.
You know your problem. You are greedy. I'm a policeman who is doing his job. All forms of corruption in the force. Not in my country.
Corruption not in my country.
Hey people, what's poppin'? Welcome to another exciting edition of your one-stop show, 360 Vibes, your one-stop show to everything and everything entertainment, where we get to give you the latest and trending entertainment news. Is it music, fashion, comedy, lifestyle, everything? We got you covered here. I'm Victoria Akode on Instagram, Victoria_extra. And of course, I cannot be alone on the show. We are a squad of powerful ladies that bring you gist, all the juicy, because I cannot be doing the talking alone. So, men mount. Now, this time around, it is women mount. Hey, ladies.
Hi.
I'm feeling it's so good to be back on the show. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
And happy new month.
Happy new month. Welcome to May.
May the month of May be a blessed month.
Amen.
It is already. It is already.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? It's your girl Joy Uchejim, Sheen_Joyoma on Instagram. And as Victoria said, this promises to be a very exciting episode because the weekend has been very hot. So don't go anywhere.
Hi, fams. Welcome back to your favorite show. I am Faith SJ, as you all know. Stay right there. Do not go anywhere.
So right now, we'll be going on a short break. And when we are back, we'll be bringing you the latest gist. I know some of you might be aware, but when we get back, we'll dive right straight into the conversation. So stay with us. Welcome back. So over the course of the weekend, something happened in Nigeria and social media has been, going agog. Everybody's like, oh, free this person, free this person, free this person. So if you are late on that gist, is no other person than the one and only Otise, very dark man, aka VDM. So over the weekend, we heard the news that he was arrested by the EFCC, the Economic Financial Crimes Commission. He was arrested, and that was shortly after he made a video calling out a particular bank over something that happened to his mom's account, NIN issue and the money being removed. And before we knew, shortly before we knew it, he was arrested, and everybody on social media, free VDM, what's going on and all of that. So, and today, Monday, EFCC came out and released a statement that apparently the reason for VDM's arrest was because they have received several petitions from different people, multiple petitions, that VDM is they accuse VDM of cyber stalking, and now he's going to be arraigned in court shortly, and they would release him after he's able to meet his bail conditions. Where we are at the end of the day. The last time it was House of Reps that summoned this guy, and now it is EFCC that actually arrested him, and now they are taking him to court based off multiple petitions that this guy has been cyber stalking. So you guys, what do you think? What do you think is going on? What can you make of this?
The whole funny thing about this instance right now is that is the timing. Coincidentally, he was arrested immediately after he went to the bank to actually make clarifications on what exactly happened to his mom's account, because apparently her entire salary was deducted over a loan that someone else made with her own NIN, and it's very complex actually, but he went to rectify it. And then shortly after he left, he was arrested. So now people on social media are thinking it's in relation to the bank. People think that the bank is possibly behind it. But then there's no evidence. There's no proof. I feel like it's just this social media excitement. Like, okay, I've suffered this thing from the bank too. So that's why they're just pulling this against him.
Do you know that at a point, Guarantee Trust Bank had to shut down operations that day? Because Nigerians, let us be calming down. Honestly, the way we just run with news is scary. Actually, you don't know whether the information is verified or not. You don't know why he was arrested. And before you know, people started making large withdrawals of their money from the bank. They're saying that they're not going to use the bank again. Yo, calm down now. It's not let's just calm down. In as much as we had not gotten like verified information from the bodies involved. GT Bank didn't even give any statements. Yes, and I didn't even see any reason for GT Bank to even arrest him in the first place, to cause his arrest in the first place. So Nigerians, that's the first thing I'm going to say. Let's be calming down. Like let's quit jumping into conclusions.
But then they don't actually. Okay, so VDM recently, I know I'm always on that opinion, like VDM talks so much, and recently I started liking him.
Aww.
Yes, recently I watched one clip where he said he has been very busy of late trying to fix one or two things in his foundation, that there are lots of projects he wants to do, that's trying to reach out to those schools that don't have boreholes, get them uniforms and stuffs. And when I saw that, I got touched. I love that part of him. But then if ESCC is coming out to arrest him for cyber stalking, really, I won't be surprised, because Baba, they talk too much. Over time, I just keep saying it. Now, when you look at the trend that has happened recently about him, Iyabo Ojo, Tonto Dike, and coming out, the way the guy they talk,
even the messaging,
do you get? And the way he talks is as if he has proof. Like, and then when he talks, you have people behind the scene dancing to VDM, like now, like as of was it
today?
Okay, let's say today. Yes, today being Monday, they are protesting for him.
Yeah,
he has created a lot of fans already. He has fans out there. Now we are not disputing it that he has fans, but my major issue here is he bullies people. So I wouldn't say I'm not. I don't want to
bully is a strong word though.
Yeah, he bullies. No.
He's fond of calling people out.
And that's bullying, Victoria.
I would say
Victoria, that's bullying. Imagine you say words. There are some words VDM threw to those set of people.
I feel like it's back and forth though. They come for him, he comes for them.
That like, depends on the celebrity involved.
Exactly.
Because there are some that don't really reply him in that sense.
Now, you know, okay, there was the, what's it called? Davido's wedding. During Davido's wedding, he came out and said some people went to the wedding, they didn't invite them. I watched that clip. And then I'm like,
okay, you know, underlining that person.
Do you get? So when I mean bully, guys, I know what I'm saying. VDM bullies people too, aside the fact that he's actually on the good path, trying to help citizens out there. I am not disputing that fact.
Although I have a strong perception of the word bully, yeah, I know that VDM can be a lot sometimes, but I feel like most of the time it goes for people that come for him. If he doesn't have any business with you, he would not come for you, except for this time, like this old Messi Chinwo's case and all of that. But I really cannot wait to see what happens after this whole thing. Let's wait till he gets arraigned into court, and let's just, you know, those people that petition, let's know the instance. At least they'll provide evidence when they got cyber stalked, what he did and everything that, you know, they're accusing him of. And I think I would like to just comment, this whole philanthropy thing from his end, because at a point people were like, what is he even doing with his platform? That. But because I remember there was a time when they started this whole foundation thing that people came together and contributed money, and he started that. That's beautiful. However, I think that maybe, I don't know the kind of person he is, maybe he will calm down with the old setting. He doesn't even used to use ring lights. He will just place his phone anywhere. He can just place it in the car. He doesn't have time for a ring light, and just calm down with the type of words and things that he says, because you can't be social if you don't have verified information about certain cases. You cannot just be dishing, you know, opinions and ideas, because people's life actually, you know, actually at stake
with this thing. Because even when you add all of this, the way he speaks, he's known as an activist, online activist. And if you even read the comment sections in some of his posts, people are of the view, some people are of the view that he has even done more than some politicians, more than some government representatives. Like, he has spoken out more, he has helped more people than those that are in the so-called positions. So some people are actually of that view. So when you now say he has been cyber stalking people, usually I think he tries to build this brand and maybe he has evidence or something, but then the words he uses are always harsh. They're always harsh.
And he uses demeaning words.
Demeaning words. And even if he has evidence for the so-called accusations he's making, the way he says it is actually very harsh, and it can even lead people to possibly petition him. So I think that's why this whole thing came up. But we're looking to get more details from EFCC. Because the identities of those petitioning him will not be released, because that's their human rights. They have the right to petition people, but their identity don't have to be out there. But just the evidence that he has done this. But in the meantime, Nigerians, especially those that claim they have also been suffering this same thing from this same bank. You have been suffering it since. Why didn't you take your money out of the bank since?
That brings me to what I even want to say now about our banking system in Nigeria.
No, before we enter the banking system, okay, I understand that you've been, let's say, allegedly being deducted, they've been taking money, too much charges, whatever allegations these people are bringing up.
It's not just this bank, it's virtually
generally. That's why I said banking system in Nigeria.
Especially with the increase in tariffs, in telecommunications, and all of that. So even if anybody has grievances against this bank, you can take it up with the bank, you can take it up with the management, customer care, for them to explain to you why they are doing this. And if you are not satisfied, you can quietly leave.
And trust me, it's not just that one bank. I think all banks in Nigeria are affected,
obviously,
based on the regulations and policies that have been rolled out lately. So they have different policies now, and that was. Trust me, I'm also not cool with some of these things. But trust me, it is not that one bank that is guilty. All of banks right now, even the fintechs that were able to say, no, they're already charging.
Not true. Do you understand?
So it's not peculiar to that bank. All of the banks in Nigeria are going through that. So let's calm down.
I feel like
but ladies, what do you guys think about the fact that the banking system in Nigeria is operating this way? Do you think we can do better? Or what do you think? Because no, when you look at the fact that these little deductions they do, they go a long way. And most times when you just when you see when you see the debits, you are pissed off. You're like, these guys have come again. In a month, they can take.
You can't even track most of the amounts.
And then they tell you for maintenance. So does it mean that you should be staying off your ATM? You can always do your transfer with your phone.
Whether you use your ATM or not, they are going to always deduct the maintenance card.
You still get charges.
It's so alarming.
I feel like it's a general problem.
And that's why you see citizens are coming out. They aren't supporting VDM in a way.
But my issue with this thing is
because of what
they're now witch hunting this particular bank. I mean, we all know that different banks have their shortcomings and the rest. But why is it that, okay, because he made a complaint about this particular bank, and then now everybody just went after. At some point, youths are even protesting in Abuja in front of this same bank.
But
why didn't you protest since? You're waiting for a celebrity to just make a statement so you can just fly off.
Let's be realistic. Not everybody even uses that particular bank. Some people are just looking for like a platform to just unleash violence. Some people just want to be part of a particular, protest. If you should go on set now, if you go to that location now, how many of you are using this bank?
GTB.
How much is even in the account?
How much is in the account? So I feel like they should calm down and just relax. I know Nigeria is going through a lot right now. So don't let us, please, and while you are protesting, keep it peaceful. Before you know now, because Nigerians can be very funny sometimes. Yeah, they can start destroying things and can be hijacked by thugs and everything. So let us, in all things that we do, let's apply wisdom. So alright guys, so that's it on the first segment. VDM, we will just wait and see how the whole case unfolds, and hopefully justice is served at the end of the day. So right now we'll go on a short break and be right back with the rest of the gist for today. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back. So on to the next gist. Joy, are you changing? Over to you.
I've got the latest. So we're just going to dive into this whole family matter. I know we are all upcoming wives. Nobody is too young, so we're going to delve into this. Apparently, a lady came up on Instagram and she was trying to get an advice. So when she told the whole story, it begins with her husband, who was a big-time staff in a multinational company in Nigeria, and he was even close to his foreigner boss, and he had lots of benefits. They had cars from the company, they had a house on the island, and even had the company pay their children's school fees. So it was a good life, really, until the husband was disgracefully sacked for harassing a female corps member that was posted to his department. And this thing came with very damning evidence that was not even disputable at some point, because he made very disgusting remarks. He made this, according to the part we can actually say on air, he made this copper sit on his lap and feed him and gave her body very disgusting names. And then she actually recorded some of these statements and reported it to the company. So now he's sacked. But the twist now is that, okay, since he's sacked, they've lost the house, they've lost the cars, the children have left these expensive schools. The man has now, since then, given his life to Christ. He's now a member in the department in church. According to the wife, he fasts and prays very regularly, but then he's still unemployed. And the wife is not the one paying the rent, paying the bills, and taking care of the entire family. So now she's asking, the disgrace has been a lot. She is going through a lot of stress. Should she stay with him? Because she's thinking of relocating with the children and leaving him to deal with it so she can start her life afresh. So the question is, should she stay with him and support him as a loving, caring wife, or should she take her children and start her life? According to her, she's actually a very good-looking lady, and men always ask her out all the time. So she can actually start afresh. Let's just put that one there. So what do you guys think? Should she stay or should she go?
So first, the lady in court, the court member, that reported him. Why did you even report him at first?
Wait, what question?
Hang on.
Okay. I'm surprised you're asking this question.
Yes,
though.
because how did you get to that point that he had to rubbish you that way? Was it a rape case? No, she gave her body to him.
No. I beg to differ. I beg to differ.
That's a very strong way to comfort.
Okay. Because if she didn't enjoy everything that happened.
Are you sure about this?
No, ladies, hang on.
Okay.
They didn't tie her up.
Okay.
Even if he made some move, there should be a no. There should be a no. Knowing the fact that you know what you want.
Okay.
Do you understand?
But you know, we call this case an harassment case.
Actually.
And nobody can hold this man's mouth that should not talk. He said some of these things. So will you say it's because the lady put herself out there, that's why she received this? Women that are harassed or women that are harassed generally, it's not about dressing and putting yourself out there.
Based on the statements that she made, based on the statement that he made, she didn't throw herself at him. It didn't seem like something like, I'm sorry, I cannot defend her, I don't know what really happened, but it didn't seem like statements that she probably threw herself at him. But it was just a case of a very indisciplined man
now
trying to harass a young lady.
Don't get me wrong.
Mind you,
do you know that you can still stop whatever it is? No,
it's wrong. See, I don't want to know whatever reason you have.
Except you're being drunk. I will blame the lady.
I will blame the lady. I am surprised that you are blaming the lady in this case, because it's a case of sexual harassment. I come to work every day and you look at me lustfully and tell me the meaning statement, and you're not saying I should not report to you.
Victoria.
I'm going to report to you because I am there as a core member to serve. So why should you make me sit on your lap to feed you?
How will you even sit? How did you get to that point you sat on his lap?
See, the fact that she stopped him was the main thing, because I'm pretty sure even if
she must have done it to lots of other ladies. Tell me when you get to the point that you are naming. See, let's leave the lady out of this. Let's focus on the bad behavior of the man.
The man is bad.
So, because I won't see the reasons why you won't be blaming
what
the lady.
He did is very bad.
See, let me tell you, whether or not she threw himself at him, a disciplined man would have actually said no.
Of course.
But he didn't say no.
Of
he
course.
went on to start giving her body parts names and telling her that he was going to, get down with her.
For still going that
blame
far.
her for what? Have you ever been in a position
Actually.
have you ever been in a position whereby you cannot defend yourself? Have you ever been in a work situation that I'm sorry, have you been in a work situation because I am being triggered right now? Have you been in a situation whereby you cannot defend yourself?
There are situations like that.
Because you have a boss eye up there and you cannot defend yourself.
Let's keep it calmly.
Victoria, there are situations
this is actually very triggering. It's
exactly,
triggering.
it is, but let's just bring it back home. All right. The fact is, we don't know what exactly happened prior to all of this. What we know is that this man was indisciplined and he was indecent and he sexually harassed this lady. There was evidence apparently before he was sacked. There was evidence, but we cannot say anything from her. We cannot throw the blame.
So why did he repent? Why did he start going to church?
We cannot throw the blame at any lady.
He has been doing that act.
No, let's not defend anybody. I know we planned on making this discussion about whether the wife should stay with him or not, but it seems like that's taking a different.
So for the wife,
So let's just get your view on that.
All right, for the wife's case now, the truth is, God forgive. I will always come from that angle. I know it's not easy, right? Knowing the fact that your husband did this very bad behavior and it has gone viral. His colleagues are aware about it and all. It's very painful. You have to let go of. But if you think you can manage it, the load is way too much, you can find other alternative. And then for the young man, kudos to you for repenting.
If I don't repent.
No, people like that, for him to be a worker in church. Now, I'm not coming from that part that you're a worker in church. Like, you are saved, you accepted Jesus, right? Like, you made that confession deep down your heart. Now you are saved. Kudos to you for doing that. That one is even the most paramount thing. Now, for the wife, if you know you can't cope with it, seek for a counsel. Look for a counselor. Get views. Don't just take the decision on your own by leaving.
Okay, that's the thing. Because if you even look at it, at the end, only Jesus knows whether the man's life is really with him or not. Because people, if you look at it this way, he knew about Christianity before he got into that position. It's not a new thing for him. So he allowed. I'm sure he will blame the devil now in this case, that, okay, the devil used him and all of that, and now he has gone back to Christ. If he's put in that same position again, in a position of power to control people's affairs, will he do this kind of thing again? But the fact is, he has been punished for this one, and then who knows how long this whole phase of punishment is going to last. But I really hope that he has actually sincerely learned his lesson.
Since he has received God as his Lord and personal Savior, God will make way for you.
We cannot deny the fact that there are people who carry this. There are people who carry this church, people who carry God and church, and then somehow they have this dark past, and they have this. Some even still go ahead, even with that position in church, and they still do things that are very wrong, things that are very disgusting in society, and then they embarrass the name of the church. Well, we have several situations like that. Pastors who do the unimaginable. You get. So the fact is, whether he says he has given his life to Christ or not, we just hope that he maintains it. But as for his wife, I feel like she should just do whatever will be okay with her in that moment, because it's a lot. You can't be carrying someone's cross all the time. And if he's really sincere, something will come up at the end, and he'll be able to find a way to survive. Yeah. But then his wife should just do whatever makes her happy at this moment. That's all I have to say, though.
Okay, so I really have a lot to say about this, but our time is fast spent. We have to call it a wrap on today's edition of the program. So one thing I will just go on to say is that in this life, just always do good, because when tables turn, when there's a time for you to have to just I don't know the right words to say. There's a time whereby you have to pay for the things that you have done.
Yeah.
And those that might be affected, it's going to affect wives, it's going to affect your kids. Even it will go way beyond that you can think. So as much as possible, let's try to keep up our best behavior. The scriptures that gave us the 10 Commandments, God knows why he gave us all those rules. It's not because, he just wants to restrict us, but it's actually for our own benefit, so that to avoid having scars and having dark past that we would not want to revisit. So, till we come your way next time, guys, just stay safe, stay jiggy, and avoid stories that touch.
Bye.
All right, bye, guys.
It's extremely important to recognize that Afghanistan is one of the world's most climate impacted countries and also prone to natural disasters. I was able to witness firsthand the work that has been done on reintegrating refugees and returnees coming into the province, looking at the work that has been done in response to the earthquake in this area. Innovative approaches have been undertaken by the United Nations and partners to have local vernacular structures which are earthquake resistance, rebuilding permanent structures in this village behind me. I have seen again firsthand the collective efforts of the local authorities, of the partners, NGOs and the United Nations in trying to rebuild the lives together with the communities here. The response has enabled people to rebuild lives in a very challenging environment. And in my visit in Herat, I have had the opportunity to look at private sector enterprises that are working, bringing Afghan men and women into the marketplace, into economic activity, and particularly women-led micro and small enterprises was eye-opening to look at the potential on one side and the need for support for these enterprises to scale up through investments in microfinance, access to markets, support in business literacy skills, etc. This is a vital part of rebuilding Afghanistan with its private sector, tapping into the human capital of Afghan men and women, and affording the space, particularly for women and girls, to contribute and have the space to be part of the nation-building process of Afghanistan.
Even though it is considered that we have a so-called disability, we really are able persons with different abilities.
For society and development to be included of persons with disabilities, we need to have equal access to education and to knowledge and information. Yet, out of millions of publications each year, fewer than 5% are made available in accessible formats for visually impaired persons. In developing countries, an even smaller percentage of publications are available in accessible formats. The Marrakesh Treaty, as it is called, will greatly expand the availability of artistic and literary works in accessible forms, such as Braille, large print text, and audiobooks. This can make a real difference in the lives of the world's more than 300 million visually impaired persons.
At the end of the day, we must come together and make however and where we are in the world be a place of unification, because me being blind visually doesn't mean that I have to be blind spiritually. And someone being sighted doesn't mean that they should be blind of those things in the world that we need to fix. We have to have inclusion.
Let us not become handicapped again, blind to the issues and the problems of those in need.
Right in the middle of this forest in southwest Ogun State and inside the buildings below, a young generation of farmers in Nigeria is changing the face of farming and attracting young people to a venture many of them had not always liked. And 36-year-old Peter Okoche Jr., or PJ as he's fondly called, is leading the change. An economist by training before branching off into farming, PJ and his team are deploying a unique method of farming known as aeroponics to grow cash crops, starting out here in August of 2017.
What's taking place is that you're seeing agricultural technology. It's a disruptive form of technology. It's called aeroponics, whereby the plants are grown in a soilless medium. Essentially, there's no soil, and the roots of the plants, which are underneath these boxes, are being misted with nutrients and so forth. So everything is within a controlled environment, and it's fully automated as well.
Their focal crop is yam, a very popular edible starchy tuber mainly cultivated in Africa and exported across the world.
The yam subsector of the overall agricultural sector, it's a very lucrative sector. But the problem is that the requisite inputs haven't been applied. And so what we're doing in this program is saying that, okay, we know that there's a sector that currently has a value, according to the Food and Agricultural Organization based in Rome, of about $13 billion US. But with the requisite inputs, the yam subsector will grow from $13 billion to about $19 billion. And this is Nigeria alone. So what we've said is that, okay, we know also that Nigeria accounts for 60% of the global production of yam, but yet we don't have inputs such as seed. And as you know, seeds, or the lab and the seed essentially is the genesis of the agricultural sector. So what we're doing is that in conjunction with IITA, we get clean seeds, essentially from IITA, from the lab, and then we come and we transplant to the system here.
The system is a greenhouse where the yam seeds are grown in this row of boxes using aeroponics, more like growing yams in the air. Now just take a look at these leaves. Every leaf you see here is a potential tuber of yam. So to get a sense of how many tubers of yam we have here, you just have to do a count of all the leaves we have here. It's something very massive.
We have about 10 boxes, and in those boxes, all fully automated aeroponic systems, and it leads to high propagation of plants. And so we're actually massively propagating, and it will continue like this for a 3-year period of just continuous growth, non-stop. After the propagation, what you'll see is that it will essentially form a canopy. It will be very bush-like and so forth. And from there, we'll start vine cutting. And from the vine cutting, we'll cut these, we'll put them into essentially polyethylene bags and with a nutrient solution, and they'll stay in there for about a month. And essentially what it is that because this is in a controlled environment, we're taking them out and saying, okay, we're preparing you for a month to get used to the external elements, and they'll be there for a month, and then we eventually take them to the field.
This is the field where they are brought and planted into the soil so the seeds could develop fully.
These right now currently have been here for about 3 weeks. And we're still planting now, and they'll be here for a total of about 3 months. And after about 3 months, we'll get seeds of about 250 to about 500 grams. And those are the seeds that we'll provide to farmers. And farmers can then go and plant directly, and this will give them the ware yam sizes of 1 kg, 2 kg and above.
One of the smallholder farmers who's been using the yam seeds from the aeroponics farm is Awofe Ademola. He's been into traditional yam farming all his adult life, and says the yam seeds from the aeroponics farm have seen his output more than double and safe from pests.
There's a lot of difference between the two methods because the new method doesn't get infected by pests, and it doesn't change color like the traditional planted yams. It will remain fresh as it is wherever it is kept. Their yam when harvested is almost 3 times or 4 times more than ours. When we plant one of our own seed yam, it equates to 4 of theirs.
Habibat Umar is the only female in the group. She's one of those overseeing the day-to-day running of the smart farm. She says she's fascinated by the whole idea of it.
One of the things that fascinates me most is the fact that we can go all year round producing food, more like you can choose God's creation and having to depend on the rain and all. And everybody wants to eat all the time. You don't want to wait for when the rain is here. And so the fact that we can provide the food all year round, it's everything to me.
Even though all may seem fine, PJ and his team are battling familiar challenges to keep their operations running.
More attention needs to be given to the sector. There needs to be more financing put in place. We need to have adequate land laws in place and to ensure that we can optimize all the arable land that we have and so forth. There needs to be insurance. We need to have better road networks. Power is a major impediment as well. Essentially we have our own solar system, as well as the fact that we also have a generator as well for backup. So power cost is also a major impediment as well. So all of these things, if we can put all these things in place, then the sector will boom for sure.
PJ and his team are setting themselves up as role models for young people. In a country where youth unemployment is high, they are hoping to inspire many within their age bracket to take to their kind of farming technique.
We need women to even join this chain, because this is not all about, we've gone past the stage of waiting for men doing it. So why wouldn't I want to be part of it? Like, let people say, oh, she's a woman, she's doing it. Do you understand? So women have to join this chain.
My message for the youth is saying that, listen, with the use of technology and disruptive methods such as this, essentially you can run your farm on your laptop, on your computer and so forth and everything. It's all automated. So essentially this makes agriculture cool. It makes agriculture sexy. You have the technological components to it and so forth and everything. So it's not just the conventional, back-breaking work in the field and so forth and everything like that. There are also these components as well that will make it appealing to the youth. So I say, listen, join me. We have a nation to feed and we have a nation to grow as well.
to another episode on Startups. I'm Tamilore Akinkwolye. Now, every year, companies and institutions around the world grapple with the growing menace of forged certificates and falsified credentials. But one Nigerian startup is changing the game with an innovative solution, the Akowe app. Now, today we dive into the story of a revolutionary app that is tackling the global challenge of document falsification. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Akowe.
Akowe is an online platform designed to reduce the incidence of credential fraud in the job market. We've built out technology that allows employers to be able to instantly verify the authenticity of academic records, as well as technology that allows educators to be able to issue digital certificates easily. My name is Ayodiji Agbola and I'm the founder of Akowe.
Initially, Akowe was funded with a simple mission: to approve and manage certificates for individuals. However, as demand for reliable verification grew, the app evolved into a cutting-edge platform used to confirm the authenticity of credentials and certificates.
The story starts from when we were trying to solve our own problem. We did have a contract in 2018 with Facebook where we were training lots of small business owners on how to use Facebook products for business. And after the training, we need to give certificates. We trained a total of about 70,000 people across 4 years. And you can imagine trying to give certificates to this large number of people. So I decided to build a simple solution that could easily issue these certificates out to these recipients. So we're looking for an English name for this application because I realized that we weren't the only ones who had the problem. There were other Facebook partners who had the same problem. And there were other educators out there who were running trainings and who wanted to issue certificates, and there was a need for a simple tool like what we had built. I was looking for an English name that would work. I just couldn't find any, especially as we wanted to buy a domain name that was appropriate. And we tried so many different English names, and after a lot of frustration not finding an appropriate name, I started to think, okay, maybe we should go indigenous with this. And the name Akowe popped into my head, and simply because of what it describes what the application does. At the time, the application would simply write your name on the certificate and then issue it out to you. So it was an application that writes, right? So that was why I named it Akowe. But it's turned out to be a great name because it's now even doing many other things around academic space, around graduates and the likes. And typically a literate person is what you call an Akowe or a clerk, in the Yoruba language. So that's the story behind that. So shortly after we launched the initial product, which was issuing of certificates, quite a number of our customers started asking, okay, thank you for this, but can you help us verify certificates? And that was obviously not why we built the application in the first place. Then we started looking into that problem. And then we realized that was even a bigger problem because quite a number of either postgraduate schools or employers had a challenge trying to verify whether this person they're trying to hire, actually has the grade that they say that they do. Because there's no system in place that is quick and fast that can help people, actually get that information. Because what happens is if you need to verify credentials, you either send someone to the school or you call the school, and that takes a bit of time before you get that answer.
Akọ̀wé has quickly gained recognition as a one-in-a-million solution to the global issue of document fraud by allowing companies and universities to verify and upload documents securely. The app has become a trusted tool for maintaining integrity in recruitment, academics, and more.
They just, give themselves a little notch upwards to the next grade. So if you had a second class lower, you would say you have a second class upper. Most people don't go and say they have a first class. They just, go to the next upper grade so that there is a higher chance that an employer could say, okay, you have a good grade, we can hire you. So that's what you find that is very rampant. Many times as well, because there are no systems to easily check, somebody who didn't graduate would have a CV that says they graduated from so school. It's so hard to check. So even if you're book smart or whatever it is, you might get hired even if you didn't graduate from school. And then your performance might then start to show that, okay, you said you had this grade, how come your performance is this way? And that's how people have been discovered over the years, to see, okay, your performance doesn't meet what you say you have in your CV. So you have many of those types of different methods that people do often. So with what we have done, which we have aggregated a lot of academic records onto our platform, it means that you can check and you can get information instantly. So for providing that instant information to you, you pay. So to access the system, we allow you some free trials where you can sign up, create an account, go into the platform and check a few names for free. And after that free trial, then you have to pay to continue to access the information. So basically you pay to search and then you pay to download a generated report. That generated report is what you can keep in your files as HR department.
While these features have brought much needed efficiency to credential verification, some skeptics have raised concerns about the safety of sensitive data on the server. But Ayodeji, the visionary founder of Akọ̀wé, assures users that the app servers are maintained and protected steadily to prevent hacking and data breaches.
Your academic records they're permanent records. Once your academic record has been issued by your school, it's a permanent record. It's not supposed to change, right? People change it because of, nefarious reasons. So what we're building out a solution where people can list their academic records on our platform. And because it's supposed to be a permanent record, we use blockchain technology to secure that permanence. It's tamper-proof and all of that. But however, who's to say that what you are listing on the platform is actually authentic? That's why we have multiple ways for actually verifying what you are listing. Once we verify that what you are listing is the same thing that the university has issued, and there are multiple other ways that we can actually verify that information, we then make it tamper-proof on the blockchain. So in essence, what it means is that a person can have their academic dossier on the Akọ̀wé app and their entire education history going backwards or even going forwards, right? So with that, anybody should be able to check this person, which school did they go to for primary school, which school did they go for secondary school, what did they come out for the university with, and things like that. That entire academic history is important information. Right now it's scattered everywhere, and that's why Akọ̀wé is a very collaborative company. We're speaking with people who already work with secondary schools using software to say, hey, there's a lot of education history that you guys have access to. There are people willing to pay to see the education history. Let's collaborate and let's put it out together. So that helps to solve some of those problems.
The app's import doesn't end there. Recognizing a broader need, Akọ̀wé has expanded its services to include undergraduates, enabling their credentials to be confirmed when they apply for loans. This feature is helping young people access opportunities while also ensuring transparency and accountability.
Right now, we're developing 2 new other products that we found that market is asking for, right? Again, people have come to us. We need to verify undergraduates. And something as simple as that, nobody in Nigeria today can do that. If you are an undergraduate, you are in 100 level, no. You are in 100 level, a 200 level student. Maybe a bank wants to give you 50% off to be able to buy this laptop. they cannot verify that you are a 200 level undergraduate from this school. It's just, I mean, there's no way to do that because there's no system in place that anybody can trust that says that you are actually an undergraduate from this school. Because are you going to bring your ID card? Anybody can make an ID card, right? So we're building a collaborative solution with the universities as well to say, let's be able to verify without a doubt that this person is an undergraduate, is doing microbiology, and is from this school. Next year, we can say, yes, he's still doing microbiology, but he's now in 200 level, right? And that cannot be done in isolation. It has to be a collaborative effort, private partnerships, universities themselves, and then customers from outside can pay to access that.
When asked about government collaboration, Akawa's leadership remains tight-lipped. However, the app has secured partnership with prominent organizations in Nigeria, a testament to its credibility and trustworthiness.
You really can't execute business without the government. You must register your business as a legal entity, so the government must be aware that you're doing something and what you're doing is legal, right? So, but the challenge has been that Nigeria is very peculiar in the sense that, great ideas often find their ways to the top and often just find a way to be replicated even when you get what I mean. So, and that's happened to us quite a number of times. So we figure that the goal or the objective, or if you're going to win in this market, that's probably not the way to go. We're also aware that the government is also trying to build out similar solutions. And, again, if everybody is trying to solve the same problem, I believe that collaborative efforts get us there faster. Akawa is very difficult because it's not just B2B, it's B to universities. And if you understand universities, and not just Nigerian universities, universities across the world are not known to drive innovation. They're very slow to move. They're very, very academic, and therefore they're not very easily